coffee.
Me too. I have hugs.
Me too.
I love it.
Hugs.
Drinking a lot of coffee.
Yeah, I want to start off with this. This is something that happened while I was away on vacation. So I had to take my yeah, it was weird. I had to take my peptides, right? So you're supposed to take them 2 hours after your last meal or something. So I fell asleep and woke up in the middle of the night and tried to give myself a shot, and like I just, it didn't go in or something. And the next thing I know, I'm on the floor and my wife is like, "Hey, are you okay?" And I'm like, What happened?" She's like, "I don't know. I heard a noise." I passed out, slammed my head against the like the corner of the door and scratched up my whole back. I don't know. Like, it's kind of happened to me before where I got lightheaded when I've given myself shots, but that is the first time it was ever that that ever happened. It was kind of weird and kind of spooky.
I don't know what that means. I don't know. That's weird.
You pull back on the needle when you stick it in to check it.
Yeah.
Make sure you're not in a vein.
No. No, I didn't.
There you go.
It always amazed me, like, in the 90s, every bodybuilder I would train with, they're like, "Yeah, I got an abscess." I'm like, how'd you get an abscess? He's like, "What do? Like, take the needle and run around and roll it around in dirt in the toilet and stick it in your arm? Like, what do you use? The same one over and over? Like, they'll spend all this money on gear, but it's like, it's like spending money on the best topsoil in the world, but you're going to use your hands to put it out instead of a shovel. Like, you're not going to get the best, needle or a pack of them. It's so stupid. But I think you probably hit a vein.
One pin lasts them 2 weeks.
That's disgusting. That's so disgusting.
That's gnarly.
Oh, it's November. I get to change my pin, But
I went to
Zack, whenever you stick a needle in you, you should pull back on the syringe a little bit. And if a syringe fills with blood, I mean, if blood comes in there instantly, you're in a vein. You got to move it. You don't want to shoot that stuff directly into a vein. You'll
Where
get
were you shooting this?
Passed out.
That's exactly what happened. Yeah.
Where were you shooting this prescription? This was a prescription drug.
Yeah. No, it's a prescription. It's what I was, told to do and instructed to do. I guess I just didn't do it so well. But it was spooky because I woke up and I'm like, didn't even know. I'm like, what's the problem? Like, what? So you tell me.
You're like Robert Downey Jr. in Less Than Zero, man. Where were you shooting this, Zach? Where were you putting this?
Butt cheek.
That's rare to get a vein there.
Yeah, because I started to do it on the side, but dude, I did it, and then I got the hugest bruise on my side. And it lasted like 3 weeks. It was awful. It was it was big and gross, and I'm like, well, maybe I should go somewhere else. Like, not going I was going in more of like the tissue part, not the upper part. But man,
I'm no specialist or anything, but from what I understand, and go to one of these companies, but aren't you supposed to use an insulin needle for peptides?
I did.
No, you weren't in a vein then.
No, it's too small. How? And you were putting it in your butt. You're supposed to putting in the fatty, like your stomach or your love handles. I believe.
I was going love handles, and then that's when I was like, maybe I should take a break because I got this huge bruise. I just think, honestly, I'm not a good needle. I'm not a good needler. Like, I don't know, I'm not a good one. It's not great. So look, I don't know. Like it's slightly embarrassing, I guess. I just don't know what I did wrong. Like, that's the thing.
I don't know, man. I feel like Hyman Roth in Godfather. So what does that tell you?
I gotta eat the syringe. That's what I gotta do. Right in the tongue.
What did you learn?
You hit blood vessels. I mean, that's totally possible. So,
yeah, man.
Bruising's part of the deal, dude. You got to wear that shit with pride.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you get a sprayer too, man. I told you that story. You hit a vein and you spray the white wall.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
Like a
that's
Jackson
not what I
Pollock
want to do.
painting,
I
man.
I did that right before I left for vacation. Pinned my shoulder and I pulled it out and went right across the room.
Well, I will say
Oh
this: it
man.
does make me feel better to know that people that have been doing this longer have this run into the same issues. That it is still trial and error, no matter how long you're doing it. So, all right, I do feel a little better.
Yeah, this, look, yeah, I don't know. I don't know what to tell you, Zach.
That was it. I just wanted listen. I was just something that happened. I figured I would tell you guys. There's few other people I
I'm
can
gonna
tell it to that understand it or that will get it.
I'm gonna give you the same look I give the broccoli headed kids in the gym with that crazy curly. I'm like this.
Oh, this right here. Wait, it's like I can't really do it, but I can't
Hey,
really
look,
do it.
this.
Yeah, I don't have
Let me
it.
see if I can do it. How's
Shoot, I
that?
actually, yeah, there you go. Looking good, dude. Looking so
Cool.
good. But yeah,
So
so
we
that
had.
was it.
That's good, man. But I'm glad you're alive.
Me
Yeah.
too. Me too. Glad to.
I have a friend who did not fare so well. He actually died. He
Jesus.
Oh wow.
he wasn't pinning himself. He was going to, and he started coughing in the bathroom, and for some reason he passed out coughing, and when he fell, he slammed his head on the corner of the edge of the toilet bowl,
Jeez.
cracked his skull, and died.
Wow. That's
Horrible.
that is
Yep.
horrible. Way to bring down the mood, John. Thanks.
Well,
No,
now
just
all
kidding,
we
just
can
kidding.
Does
go
that
here.
count? Does
Now
that
all we
count as
can
a
go from here
stat?
is up.
Yeah, that's true.
John,
Actually, it's a reset.
is that a stat for PED death? Is that like the same guy for alcoholism? He's at the bar and he slips on the water and on the bar and he hits his head and dies, and then he dies of an alcohol related death. Is that still fill the stats? Does that count? I'm
No, he
just
died of
saying. I don't know.
COVID.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Plane crash, 37 people. Yeah, COVID. I
Yeah,
love that.
exactly.
I
He had
love that.
COVID.
That's hysterical.
Shoot.
But so when Zach was gone, we're getting interviews for the magazine. I interviewed Derek Lunsford, Mr. Olympia, and it was
Cool.
really good.
I've heard of him.
Yeah, we got hundreds of thousands of views, and we just put something up for the Amateur Olympia. But he honestly had a really good perspective about bodybuilding, where he came from, and where he wants to go, and and how long he wants to compete, and like surrounding himself with all of these people. Like, somebody like you ever watch Rocky 3? Mr. T's training by himself. Ugh.
Hmm.
This guy, Derek's got an entire team between Hani Rambo and Matt Grego, like training partners, sponsors, like. It's like a whole village of people that help him, get hit his peak and stuff. It's interesting. I was like,
That's
wow.
cool.
Do you
Well,
think that's necessary?
I know. John, I was gonna
I
say John
listen.
is not into this.
John, you and I probably cut of the same cloth. We don't like that many people to have a village around us. So let's start with that. Let's just start with
I don't
that.
like people enough to have a whole fucking village of them.
No, I mean, I probably, I would think, like I had my training partner at the time, and that was sporadic because I trained on my own, and then I had Steve Weinberger, and that's it. My sponsor didn't do anything. Nah, man, I had maybe one or two people, and my girlfriend made chicken in the with the George Foreman grill when I was competing, and she put ice in the bathtub. She put ice in the bathtub to keep it cold, but. That's that was about. There's this 5'11" girl, blonde, like everyone's going to the ice machine, like bags of ice are coming to drop in the bathtub, and like put my chicken in there, and like she had to say to herself, "Where did I go wrong?" Right?
You put your chicken in the bathtub?
Well, there's no refrigerator in Canada where we're competing, so you bought
Oh,
the
oh,
chicken from the
oh, oh.
supermarket, and then plug it into the George Foreman grill and make the chicken. But at some point, she had to be like, "Man, I could go out with heads of state. I can go out with professional athletes.
I
Maybe,
could go out with an ugly guy with a lot of money.
yeah, maybe finance. Here I am cooking this guy's chicken on a George Foreman grill in Ottawa, Canada, and a day's in."
Oh man. Well,
Winner.
but
Frank, so what were some of your
but
takers?
I
Oh,
have
go ahead.
I'm sorry. I got to say
Sure.
that's the way to do it. Okay?
Yeah.
If to me, if you got 9 people making your chicken breast at another location and then packaging it and bringing it to you and almost fork feeding it to you, you know, I'm sorry, man. To me, bodybuilding is a solo sport. You're on your own. You got to figure this shit out. You got to learn how to do it. I mean, yeah, someone can help you pose, someone can help you like,
Yeah.
train or be your training partner or whatever. But overall, the whole quest to be a bodybuilder is singular. It's a one-man show. You get up on stage, you're by yourself. You don't bring your crew with you. So
It's yeah. I
I'm just old school, man. I just believe you got to figure this shit out by yourself. You got to figure out the training, the dieting, the drugs, the supplements, the rest, the recuperation, the posing, the presentation, the tanning, all of that shit. You got to figure that out. That's on you. It's your
well,
deal. You get up on stage, you figure it out.
But
Zach,
he's
don't
Mr.
you,
Olympia. But
Zach?
so he,
I'm not
my thing,
saying
Two-time,
it
but
doesn't
you're
work.
talking.
yeah,
I'm just saying to me, it's just not a team sport. It's just
right.
I
not.
think you got well. I agree partially with that because like you have to be self-motivated and you
Right.
have to have willpower. No matter how many people you have around you telling you you're good or helping you, unless you have those two things, you're never gonna be a champion bodybuilder. But I mean, everybody has a different personality. If he finds these people, like like obviously you have your support system in your family, which he does. But I don't know. Like I think when you have a coach, how many bodybuilders blame their coach for failing? I would rather blame myself and blame,
Right.
my own mistakes on my own mistakes. I wouldn't give somebody that much power. What would you do, Zach? I wouldn't do that. Like I
Um,
wouldn't, 'cause, I wouldn't give. I would rather fail on my own
right.
than
But here's
have
the thing.
somebody.
I've
You
played team
know,
sports my whole life. So it's not that I got used to relying on everybody to do everything, but there were points where if I needed advice or I needed guidance, there'd be people to go to, and that was something that I got used to. So as much as John is a solo guy, he wants to do it on his own. For me, it was always better in I felt more confident when I had people to either bounce ideas off of or kind of go through things and make sure that I understood whatever the direction was. So
well, you don't have the, like in some ways it's good. I mean, you got Hani Rambod, no 24 Mr. Olympia titles, so you know that you're taken care of by that. I mean, if you're self-motivated, you got your family, you got great training partners and this and that. I mean, that's great to get to that point, but I don't know. Like if you're someone starting out, could they I guess the question is because I guess it's personality driven anyway, but the question is can you do it on your own? That's the real question.
Well, I think it's a little bit deeper than that. I think would you say, or would Derek Lunsford say that without Hani I couldn't win the Olympia? So if Hani wasn't there, I'd take sixth. Is that what he thinks?
The degree of separation between first and fifth has got to be 1-2%. So maybe
Tiny.
Hani brings them that dials them in for that 1-2%. Because how many great bodybuilders in the gym look like complete dog shit on the stage when they try to diet down? They have no idea what to do. So I don't know. Like you're going by what you know everything, so it's different. Like, but if you come in, you expect everybody to know what you know. It's not the case, man. When some of these guys, when I talk to them, they, oh, put chicken. Oh, I can have like chicken wings, and I can have like baked chicken. No, man, grilled chicken plain. They don't understand. So maybe So I get
I,
that
I,
part of it.
I first started souring on this coach thing when Kai Green, when I was really close with Kai Green getting ready for shows, and he was with Oscar Arden, and I was just so blown away by how much hand holding this guy had to do. And I'm like,
Mhm.
I don't get it, man. I've been bodybuilding for 30 at the time, maybe 30 or 40 years. And it's like you go to the gym, you work out, you leave. You go home, you cook, you eat, you go to sleep. Nobody's holding my hand. I mean, it's just not it's not one of those things where you need another person, you know? So it's like you're rock climbing. Yeah, you need somebody to belay you, or you're gonna, you need that other person. To me, the the actual sport of bodybuilding is singular. You don't need anybody. If you do, you're lessening the effort that you're putting into it because you're passing that off to somebody else. So instead of being self motivated, you got somebody else motivating you. Instead of cooking yourself, you got somebody else cooking for you. Oh, I can't cook. It's going to take too much away from my training. Bullshit. You just have the ability to have somebody take that weight off you, so it's like more it's easier. So yeah, okay, you want to do it easier, do it easier. I'm just not from that school. You got to do it all
Yeah.
yourself. Oh, an extra set of eyes, absolutely. An extra, set of ears to throw things off of. Hear me out. What am let me vent? Definitely. But to sit there and not know what your next meal is going to consist of until your trainer calls you or your coach calls you is, to me, is fucking nuts. It's just not. Bodybuilding is not a team sport, but they're making it into one.
Right, but you just said it right. There is a difference between, working with somebody and relying on them to spoon feed you everything. Like there is a
Oh,
line that you can cross, right? But I mean, if there are ways
yeah.
to make things
Easier.
easier for yourself, that you can focus on the things that are going to help you win and make a living, I totally understand that.
We just have different personalities. Like, John, you have different personality and whatever. But if you look at boxing, boxing is a individual sport. But you have your coaches, you have your nutritionists, you have this. But at the end of the day, you're the guy in the ring who's taking out all that information and
Yep.
utilizing it to try to win. But that being said, you know, you got to get up at 5 a.m. You got to train. You got to run. You got to do this. You got to eat. I mean, I'm sure like Phil and Jay and those people, like, I'm sure they got a plan to eat and they eat. Like,
Mhm.
who's gonna come into their houses and, like, you know what I mean? Or if you have a spouse or girlfriend, whatever it may be, they may cook for you or you cook for yourself. But think about it: if you have to have somebody come in and it's 12 o'clock and eat and this and that, if it's gonna start coming to
Yeah.
that, then it's like but you gotta be
Dude,
so you
dude,
gotta be
I'm
motivated.
telling you, I interviewed, I'm not going to say who, I interviewed a Mr. Olympia competitor a couple of years ago, and he told me that he literally gets up in the morning and waits to hear from his coach to see what to eat.
That's crazy.
I,
That's
Come
just
on.
ridiculous.
I mean, come
That's
on. I mean, really?
crazy. And what did
I
I mean?
And
That's
and and
nuts.
I
Like,
will add this: he's not Mr. Olympia, so it
right.
ain't
shocking.
working.
It didn't work. Yeah. Maybe
You
it's
want
time for a
Mr.
new
Scranton?
plan.
You want
Yeah.
Mr. Scranton NBC?
Look, you know what though? That guy probably didn't have a George Foreman grill at the ready. You know what I mean? Like
Let me
that's what
tell
he
you,
needed.
the single greatest invention for a single guy who lived in Manhattan. That was
Hmm.
amazing. That
Oh,
was
I had a
great.
bunch of them,
Like,
bro. I had a ton of them. Are you kidding me? I had those too. They made it so easy. I used to use them in my college dorm because it was just
hell yeah.
everything that it was perfect for me then. So
Yep.
I get it. I had a lot of them, big, small, on the stand,
I
you name it.
I sent one to Tyler Mannion when he was in college for his birthday. I sent him a George Foreman grill. I
I
was
bet he
like,
used it, right?
yeah, because Jim was like, send him one. I'm telling you, like that was awesome. That was
Yeah, I
awesome.
agree.
I was like,
What
wow.
happened to
And
that?
guess what?
Well, it's still around, isn't it?
Oh, hell yeah.
I
It
just
You
don't
can
see
buy
them
him
as
in a,
much anymore.
well, you got to
Think
go to
about
Target.
like this is why I get so. This is like I had this conversation with Juan Morel the other day, and Juan's into multi businesses and stuff, and different trying things. Some are good, some like everybody. Some work, some don't. But could you imagine the naysayer that told George Foreman, "Oh my God, you really think you're gonna make money on a grill? You don't know anything about cooking." And the guy's made more money on the grill than he has in his entire boxing career. He's lapped it like 10 times
Yep.
by putting his name on this thing. So when somebody tries to do a business and you get these shitheads and these jealous people like, "Oh, yeah, what are you gonna do that? Are you gonna be famous Amos or are you gonna be this person?" Like, you know what I mean? Like,
Famous
and then all of a
Amos.
sudden,
And,
But
and the funny thing is that George Foreman doesn't even know where to plug that thing in. He's never even seen one. Okay, because he knows nothing about it. Zero. He couldn't use one if you paid him. Okay, so
well, he's got a team.
yeah, exactly. His team. Somebody else uses it. Right. But
He, he he named all his kids George.
yep.
That's just lazy. That's just lazy, isn't it? Like
No, he
just
said
name
that's why
all
when I
his-
yell George, one day I'll come. He's going to definitely get one. So
that's weird, man. Like like George 2, you got your homeworks due. George 6, like I don't know. It's just a strange thing.
when we get dogs again, we're naming them boy and girl.
No,
Hey, Zach, are you
come,
wearing an Olympia T-shirt there, buddy?
no, I'm wearing it's a fish shirt.
Oh, it's the same. That's the same design as the Olympia
I thought it was for
T-shirt that I have.
Overstock.com.
No, I get that too. Some people say Target, some people say Overstock. It's actually just this is what the drummer wears on his moo-moos when he plays.
You should say that has many meanings. Zero respect.
Yeah.
Zero.
Zero good looks, zero good humor, zero
Yeah.
talent. There's a lot of things that it applies to with me.
So, speaking of boy, girl, dog. So over the last week, I went to
I saw that.
New York City, ACC Queens
Very cool.
dog shelter. There's 100 dogs, 150 dogs, 100 cats, and
Oh,
Mike
man.
Ruiz, a famous photographer, director, whatever. We went there, filmed 6 dogs. They're all like pit bulls and like real big dogs, so they're to get adopted, and 2 of them have been adopted so far. So
Oh,
it's
wow.
like, wow. So I'm there. So it's funny. So they put you in like there's little grass, little fake grass, little I don't want to call them kennels, but they're outside, like kennels or whatever. I guess kennels. So I'm sitting there and I turn around and I'm expecting like a puppy. Like what are we doing? And this dinosaur comes out. Dead, right? And I'm on my knees, right? And I'm like, that's a pit, like a great dog. But I was like, wow. So Mike's like, don't worry. He's like, just do this. He's like, I got 13 stitches here once, like from the last one. I
Oh
was
my
like,
god.
what am I gonna do? So I put one hand on my nose and one hand on my privates. I was like, hey, what's up, buddy? Those are the 2 most important parts of your body, like a bit. But the dogs turned out to be amazing. Like they were so like well behaved, so good. But it's heart crushing to see these dogs not being, not having a home and this and that. Some were
Yeah.
found like the New York Police Department, and
Ugh.
this place they walk them 3 times a day,
Wow.
feed them. I mean, it's a really nice, beautiful facility. All jokes aside, like we went there to get the dogs homes, and 2 have been adopted already. Um, but if you go on Mike Ruiz's or my page, you'll see them. My page now looks like a dog, like North Shore Animal League has all that dogs all over it. But yeah, so they one 2 of them got adopted so far, so it's really
Cool.
cool. Carol Alt, I saw a message. So a lot of people, celebrities, are reaching out to Mike too about it. So that it's a good thing, create awareness. But I wanted to take all of them home. They were like, Zach, when you get like
Oh yeah.
attached, they were cool. There was like this one brown pit. I was like, wow, this dog's amazing. And I was like,
Oh,
I don't think, but they're like, some are good with kids, some aren't. But it's
Yeah.
good.
No, I mean, dude, when I went to, we lost a cat recently and we adopted 2, brother and sister. And I got to tell you, it was difficult not to walk out with a bunch of them because the place that we went, they were all owner surrendered. So, they were all so sweet, and it's gut wrenching, man. And I know, that you guys are big dog lovers, and I love animals, so it's hard. And I think about, well, I could foster them, but then I know me.
Nah,
What'll
you
happen
keep
is, yeah, well, that's the thing. I'll get attached to it, and then somebody's gonna want to take it, and I'm gonna start to get all upset, and now I'm gonna be heartbroken for days or months, and then the cycle starts over again. So it's easier for me just to I donate some money to give them food, and hopefully somebody else will come get them. But I wish I could do more, man. I wish there was something
we,
I don't know. What could I do? I think.
Ed Connors used to force their bodybuilders in his Marina Del Rey house back in the 90s. They all used to stay in his house.
yeah. Everybody stayed. He's had over 500 house guests.
I was
He
there.
wrote he
Yeah, I
wrote a
had the.
book. He wrote a book called House Guest, and he talks about all of those crazy bodybuilders that lived in his house.
See,
Oh, I
that's
could
a
tell you
cool. What a cool
stories.
book. Yeah, well, dude, that is a really good idea for a book. You know, when you have all those
I had,
things lined
I
up.
had, I had the basement apartment that went right out to the beach with its private entrance.
Ah, the Red House.
So I used the bike. He had a bike,
Yep.
this amazing bike. Like I was riding bike, and I was
I was gonna
285.
say, I cannot picture you on a
So
bike
big.
at 280 pounds, like just like.
So I'm riding down. I'm riding on the boardwalk, right? Riding on the Venice boardwalk, and I'm like, oh, I got this. I'm like, let me try no hands, right? I try no hands. I went right into the wall and broke the whole
Oh,
fork of the
Jesus.
bike, right? So I drag it back. Nobody's back. I drag it. I put it in there. Ed pulls in his car and he's looking at the bike and he goes, and I was like shaking my head and he looks at the German bodybuilder, Dirk, and he goes, oh man. He blamed the guy couldn't speak English. So he blamed it on him. Like, all right, all right. He
Dude,
destroyed
Do,
the bike.
do
But
you
I
know
was
the
there
Jimmy
with, yeah, I heard the Jimmy story. Yeah.
the Palm Springs house?
Oh yeah, Jimmy was banned. Yeah, yeah.
man.
It was
Well, I
funny.
think
Yeah,
was he
there's a
doing
lot of
blow? I think he
stories.
was doing blow or something, and he just destroyed the house. He went,
Oh,
I
oh,
if
that is the
Zach,
worst.
this this
It's
this
like,
this house was on the beach. When I tell you on the beach, it's got to be worth I don't know 12 to 15 million dollars now.
yep,
It's sitting
yep.
on the beach.
you're in
So
Venice or Santa Monica? Where are you?
Venice.
Marina Del
And
Rey,
Oh, okay.
right? No,
Yeah,
was it
that's a
was it
nice area.
Venice? Yeah,
No, it
I
was
think it was.
still Venice because it was still
It's still
south. It was
Venice.
still
Yeah.
north of Washington.
So I'm sitting out there, right? I'm sitting out there, and most of the bodybuilders went home or whatever. So it was me and this beautiful girl was rollerblading, right? So I'm like, oh wow, look at her. And she stops, and I'm like, oh, what's going on? She's like, hey, she's like, oh yeah, and they're like, all right, come back, later. So she comes back to the house, and we're hanging out in the living room, and Ed comes in a robe, and she goes, who's that? I go, oh, it's Connors, the butler. He lives downstairs. That's
And he
Connor's.
and he probably went along with it too, right?
So he's like, and the next day it was just funny. He's like, "You can't have any of your fitness friends in here." This and
Whoops.
that.
No.
He was telling me a story. I was just starting laughing.
Yeah,
That's
he
so
was
funny.
anti-guest.
Connors.
Oh yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Especially, I mean, look, if you heard that story about Jimmy the Bull trashing somebody's house, I mean, I would be kind of anti-guest too at that point.
Well, look,
Look,
you
man.
got this beautiful house on the beach in Venice. All
Yeah.
right, he had two houses, I think, at the time. He stayed in one, but I don't know,
Jeez.
whatever the story was. But he's got these houses in Venice, right on the beach, and you get to come to California as a bodybuilder, as a young bodybuilder, and you get put up for free on one of the best beach properties in America. Okay, so yeah, there's going to be some rules. Are you kidding me? That is such a privilege,
Uh
right?
huh.
To be able to stay there and live there for free. I mean,
Uh,
anybody who took advantage of that's a fucking asshole because that was a privilege and a half to be able to do that.
I was there for, I don't know, I was there for like 5, 6 days. After I won the Mets, I went to Venice to Gold's Gym, and I was at the Marina Pacific Hotel shooting American Muscle magazine for ESPN, and then I did like 22 photo shoots in 11 days, and I stayed at the marina, but they kept me for an extra 4 or 5 days, and Ed's like, stay at my house. I'm like, okay, cool. So I stayed there, but it was so funny. 22 photo shoots. I came back home. I was 22, I think. Came home. I had $300. So I started working at this gym, and then working in this and going back to school. And then 3 months later, I was on the cover of Muscle Mag. And then people like, is this you? And they're like, you must be rich. You're on the cover. They're like the whole Venice thing. And I'm like, yeah, I'm in Queens, working in a gym, going to school and like, you know what I mean? But it was just like that whole California dream that people were selling. You'd see it, like you see all these beautiful fitness models and everything, but there was always a real story to that.
Yep.
You
So
know,
Yep.
fly in and on out told us that Three Musketeers is the name of his book.
That's one of them. He's also that's one book. He's also got he's right. I don't know if it's done yet or if he's still writing it, but House Guest is coming.
He was a good dude. Yeah, check it out. Check out his books. He's the architect, I think, the gym architect.
Not only is he an architect, he was a great
handle on Instagram.
You remember the movie Die Hard? With Bruce Willis, that big skyscraper that blew up in the middle of Century City,
Nakatomi Tower.
Ed Connors designed that.
Yeah, wow. Like, is that Zack, is Die Hard 1 a Christmas movie? That's a big controversy.
It is. To me, it is. I definitely watch it on Christmas. I mean, I watch Gremlins. I watch Batman Returns. I watch Die Hard. Of course, I watch some of the classics, but to me, I consider it. How is it not? Why? Just because it doesn't involve Santa going around with children? Although there is somebody that's dressed up as Santa when they put him down in the elevator. Ho, 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 I have a gun too, or whatever. So I do consider it a Christmas movie. I think it captures the spirit of Christmas, or at least the way I view Christmas.
I like Home Alone. Keep the change, you filthy animal.
Yeah. Or as my kids call it, they call it Bad Guys, and they literally watched it from November through March, just nonstop, every day. It was
I miss the claymation.
Those were cool. Remember them?
Yeah. They were Rudolph the reindeer, Red-Nosed Reindeer and stuff like that. Those were cool. But how far have cartoons animation come from Despicable Me, the new Despicable Me, to Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer?
I know.
Herbie wants to be a dentist. A dentist.
I mean, dude, look at even how they used to create South Park when they used to cut them out and have to do it. It looked like a painstaking process, and it would take forever just to get the animation going.
I watched that the other day. I watched that yesterday. I watched there's 23 seasons or whatever. It's crazy. Certain shows, Family Guy was off the air after one season. Now it's on for 20 seasons. It just goes to show you, if you stick with something, you can really,
How about Star Trek? Star Trek was one season or two? It was almost none. And it's the biggest cult following that anyone's ever seen.
I love that, man. I was watch, you come home from going out when you were a kid, and you have to be home by 12 o'clock or whatever, and you're like, sorry, Bones. God, it was just the worst acting. It was just terrible. The acting was terrible. The storylines were terrible.
Yep.
It was just,
Simon Locke, he wants us to get off of this
when
YouTube.
we watched it, that and The Honeymooners.
Oh yeah, we watched The Honeymooners too back in the day.
What did we do?
I said Simon Locke.
That was funny, but
he says, "Get off of my YouTube." I didn't know we were on your YouTube.
How are we on YouTube?
I don't know.
Tough, dude.
Why?
Deal with it.
Sorry.
We're here.
We're on your YouTube.
Yeah.
Why would we even care?
But that's an action for him to do, not for us. If he doesn't want us to be on his YouTube, turn the fucking thing off, idiot. I mean, come on.
So look, the Mr. Olympia, we're 6 weeks out, coming up 6 weeks out. We just went over the Muscle and Fitness booth, the podcast, everything, right, Zach? So John Romano will be there. Zach will be there doing live interviews, everything. We just I got to hit up Noah Deasy for you guys, for Noah.
Thanks,
and David Bay's going to come in. I spoke to him. I'm going to speak to a bunch of other people for you guys. I'm going to try to get in there as much as I can. I'll be backstage a lot for the Olympia, but I'm gonna
selfishly. I really don't want you to be backstage. I really want you to hang out. I would love to just do this all day with us and get some other people in there. That's me, but I'm also a gigantic baby, so that's just what I want.
Think about it. There's 11 categories, right? So backstage, we got to do 11. We got to get footage of everybody back there. We got to interviews. We might have an advertiser for the lives backstage, and then all the photos that come up for prejudging, confirmation, everything has to go up on all the social pages, live advertising in booths, and then they're like, "Oh, where, what have you been doing?" And I'm like, "What?"
Nothing. He's
Do we get to go to Spearmint Rhino and film the wellness girls getting ready for their routine?
Oh, this guy.
Spearmint, the Spearmint Rhino. My friend Rico, he's a bodybuilder. He
Rico
used to work
McClinton?
there. Yeah, he used to write for Metrics. He used to write for our magazine, for MAQ magazine.
I know Rico.
Yeah,
I don't know any. All I know is I'm looking forward to it. This year we definitely have more of a jump. I got somebody coming that's going to help us run the tech side of things, including the cameras for us, so we don't have to do both. Considering last year, as Frank can tell you, we had microphones falling off. We didn't know if it was even working because it was like trying to run back and forth and listen to like it was a total mess. But this year we'll have somebody to help us out so they can actually like point out when we screw up, which will be fantastic.
Yeah.
look, man, it's impossible. Like everyone's like, put a schedule together. It is virtually impossible because when you have athletes who are they have so much going on, so much agenda. You don't know what's going to happen. And if somebody comes 5 minutes late, 10 minutes late, and then you run late with somebody else in an interview because you got something interesting that they're saying, it's impossible. So you got to say, look, drop by the booth, text me, come on in, or whatever.
Yeah.
But going back to Rico McClinton, I did a photo shoot at his house. He had a gym in his basement, and when you walked in, he had a fountain with Tupac. It was pretty cool. I was friends with him. But yeah, we did a bunch of photo shoots. But yeah, the Olympia is going to be fun. You got to go to MrOlympia.com for tickets, for expo information, and all that fun stuff.
But going back to what you said about people dropping by, it's funny because there's times where people might just be walking and we'd flag them down, like the champ of bare knuckle fighting. We got him, and we just by, hey man, you got some time? Came over, chatted about it. The president of bare knuckle, so he was talking to them, and ended up being. And it was kind of cool because it really was this organic conversation. I talked to the bear, we talked about, shockingly, and this is so weird, right? Because you're just meeting somebody, but he's telling a story and I'm listening, and he's talking about the hardships he ended up going through. He has divorce. He at one point was on the verge of being suicidal. And I'm asking these questions because I'm like, hey man, you know what? This is important because it can go to show that how quickly things can change, or how things can change if you just stick with it. Like Frank said, you don't give up. And I said, I want to tell that story. And also with the bare knuckle fighting guy, I'm like, hey, let's compare fist to paw, like, and he's fist up there. And it's funny because this was in good shape. I thought it would be all mangled. He's like, dude, I'm not trying to break it. He's like, I'm trying to have a career. I'm like, that's smart.
Honestly, getting people who are in the show interviewing a podcast, it's not going to happen, and it's not going to do as much. You have to explain this to people. It's like you're backstage, they're getting pumped up. That video alone is going to get 5-10 million views.
Yep.
If it's done correctly, the weigh-ins, this and that, them coming off stage, this, that, whatever it is, pictures of prejudged, them sitting down with us, talking to us, is not going to do anything, because in the scheme of things, by the time that goes up, you know what I mean? It's just not timely. But to get people that you ordinarily don't get, because we'll have sound bites backstage the whole time. I'm like, oh, we're here with C-Bomb. What's wrong? Ramon, you're gonna win. Like, it's gotta be quick. But but getting someone like the bare knuckle person, getting somebody who's like a strong man, like to me, when I was at the Arnold a couple of years ago, and that guy at Mountain, Jesus man, when I saw him backstage,
another planet. That guy's
like,
not real. He's seriously another species. It's not. He cannot be real. I was next to him once, and I probably was mouth like open because I was like, oh, like holy. I was looking at his traps in his neck, and I was like, dude. Holy shit.
Game of Thrones Mountain.
Yeah.
Strong as hell, dude. Like
you know what? I got another. I hope he's there because I'd love to talk to this guy, Eddie Hall.
I'd love to talk to Eddie Hall.
You know what is most amazing about him? He's a crotch rocket motorcycle canyon racer.
Wow.
I got to see the bike he rides, man. I mean, it's like that guy weighs like, how much does he weigh? Almost 400 pounds.
He's a large individual.
Yeah, that's a big dude, man. Wow.
You know who else, John?
He's laying into turns, scraping his knee, and all, I mean, like real.
Damn. So like he's legit. Like he knows how to ride.
full on leather suit, the whole thing, man, legit.
That's a large leather suit.
I know.
John, do you know who else you want to check out? Is Chris Duffin. Chris Duffin, he is he owns Kabuki Strength. He builds some pretty serious cars and I think some bikes too.
Cool.
I think he's got a world record in, is it the sumo deadlift? But he's a really, I've talked to him before, super cool guy and has a crazy story. Lived in a cult when he grew up in a cult.
Oh, wow.
On Murder Mountain, I think it was called. Like it was really crazy
California
stuff.
California and Humboldt?
Yeah, really interesting stuff.
Yeah.
I was to the point where I was so interested in his story when we were talking. We didn't really talk about exercise at all because I'm like, dude, we could come over that another day.
Best stuff.
Those are the best interviews ever. No one wants
Yeah,
to talk about
always.
reps and sets. That's been beaten to death.
Nope.
I mean, if we got a chance to talk to Eddie Hall, it would be all motorcycles. I wouldn't give a shit about how much weight he lifted. And the funny thing is, his other dudes, local people that came to the show, you pick out some big, built looking dude who's in good shape. I guarantee you he's got a story. Maybe you never even heard of him. He's just a regular guy, but I guarantee you he's got a story. And if we sat down and talked to him, we'd be blown away.
Look, when I interviewed Batista, he was talking about he collects superhero lunchboxes. So I was like, that is so cool because I was like, I have the 1977 Incredible Hulk Lou Ferrigno lunchbox with the thermos in it, and I bought it at auction and stuff. And then I had Spider-Man, whatever, when I was a kid, I bought it, and like that to me was so interesting. Like, oh, and how many do you have, and why do you have these, and what's the significance of them, and what does it mean to you, like like emotionally and this and that, like. And I was like, oh, my mom, I remember my mother and father didn't have a lot of money, and I really wanted this, and my mother got a job on the weekend and got me this lunchbox, and I kept,
Wow.
I love stories like that. Like that's, because I can relate to them. So I hear what you're saying about motorcycles too. It's like no one wants to hear like, oh, so what do you do the Mike Menza routine, or are you a volume
exactly.
fan?
What really put you over the edge? Was it
What's
drop
your
sets
cheat
or like?
meal? If I gotta watch these horrible
So dumb.
people who now think they're broadcasters. Hey, I heard you just won the show. Okay, how do you feel? How the fuck do you think I feel? I just won the show. I feel amazing.
Just terrible.
What are you gonna? What's your cheat meal?
Depressed.
I'm gonna eat pizza. Like, how many times we gotta watch this?
Well, I think it's like some of these interviewers, they have like 3 questions.
Yeah.
And then they ask the same 3 questions. How do you feel about that? Or what's next for you? Or what are you going to eat tonight? It's like, are you kidding me? I see that shit, right? And I just go, no wonder we're going nowhere.
Look,
exactly.
I won the show. I feel good. I lost the show. I feel like crap.
Exactly.
What am I gonna eat? Either I'm a sugar guy or I'm a salt guy. Like, what's the big mystery in this? In these great questions, like. Like if you knew some backstory, you'd be like, oh, so you just won 500 grand. I hear you're into cars.
Right.
Are you going to buy a car with that?
Exactly.
Like what, that's at least a step above what,
Dude,
I remember
so right.
I used to get everybody first off the stage when they won the Olympia. So I get Big Ramy, Brandon Curry, all those guys when I worked for him. So everyone came to me first and I would do the interviews. And, they get millions, and it's like, how do you find something interesting and unique about an interview? But you have to be quick on your feet. You know what I mean? You have to, you have to have, you have to be like, oh, so even the simplest thing, Big Ramy. You know what I saw that was different from this year that you won Mr. Olympia from previous years is that you're posing. You're able to hold the poses. Last year you were breathing like,
Right.
like you were like doing a marathon, and then Dennis James would come in and be like, yeah. Exactly. I spent 5 hours a day, like whatever, posing with him. Like that's interesting. Like you have to find something.
Like like the first thing, I take Ryan Terry, right? Like he took so long. Not he took, but he'd been trying so long to get. I want to be like, listen, did you ever want to quit? Did you ever want to just say, you know what, fuck it? Like I gave it a shot. Time to go. Because again, those are the stories that resonate with people because so many people end up quitting because they don't think they're going to make it. But it's those types of stories and those types of examples that prove that you cannot quit. And if you don't, good things might eventually happen if you keep pushing it. And I think those are so valuable rather than, hey, Ryan, are you going to sleep late tomorrow? Who gives a shit if he sleeps late tomorrow? Like,
Well,
cares?
you know what's even worse, John? It's like you get these people who are interviews or whatever, and they're like, you know, a lot of people didn't have you in first. You know, how do you like? So you're taking away their moment. You know, I thought you could have. I thought you could have been harder. I thought you were harder at the Arnold. Like, bro, nobody cares what you think. Like, celebrate the moment with these
Right,
people. It's not a
right.
softball interview. It's you're an idiot. You know,
Yeah.
you're an idiot. You're stomping on this
Yep.
guy or woman or whatever for no reason. So I don't know. But by
It,
the
it
way,
also helps.
yeah.
I'm sorry, Frankie.
No, go ahead. No, go. Sorry.
It also helps to know something about them. You know, one little tidbit about them, like, you know, the guy's father died 3 years ago and he was a bodybuilder, you know, and now you could say, yeah, I'll bet your dad's looking down smiling at you now, you know. I mean, it's like, not how do you feel about winning? It's the same question I ask everybody. I mean, if you know something about them, you know, I mean, like Eddie Hall with the motorcycles. I mean, that's going to be like some cool questions, interesting answers,
Yeah.
not the same old stupid shit.
You
And it
gotta
also
have
translates
some
to
sort
a
of
bigger
previous
audience.
knowledge. Yeah, right.
It goes to a bigger audience, not just the exercise audience, but to a different. And you know, here's the other thing about it, John. Some people are so ego driven that they want to just be in the spotlight. Whereas I've told this to Frank, I've told this to everybody. I'm not the best option if it comes to interviewing bodybuilders at the Olympia because my historical knowledge has a lot of gaps. I can fill in if there is a need, but there's a million people that would do a better job than me, and I'm okay admitting that. Like, I'm fine with it because for the product to be the best it can be, you want the best people and the best personalities, and I'm just not it, and I'm okay with that.
Right.
Like John said, you have to have some sort of knowledge. Like if you have Sergio going against Hunter, now you know they both come from like, you know, their fathers. Now if you get somebody who doesn't know anything, like, how'd you get into bodybuilding?
No.
How do you think I got into bodybuilding?
My father was Sergio Oliva.
Yeah, my father was Sergio Oliva, or my father's Lila Brada. How did I get into it? Is your family into fitness? Were they? No.
Yeah, right. You have any
My father at
exposure
the Olympia.
growing up?
So, okay, let's see here. So Corky's got a question. Do you guys, okay, this is interesting. Do you guys know my college roommate, Joe Amato, who was the host interviewer for all bodybuilding shows on TV, Olympia, etc.? I don't know that person, but maybe you guys do.
I know him.
Yeah?
Yeah. I mean, I don't know him like to go have a beer with him, but I know who he is. We've talked before. Yeah.
Oh.
My favorite show was MSG, Muscle
cool,
Sport, with Tom Terwilliger and Steve Stone. I used to love
that was
those.
good. That was a good one.
That was
Body
a good
shaping was good with Rick Valente and what was her name? The girl.
She's on my Instagram, Kiana Tom.
Kiana Tom.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Kiana. Yeah, I spoke to her the other day.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, but I like the Muscle Sport and everything else, and then you know, the ESPN American Muscle magazine was a good one too. That was a great, you know.
That was my first job in this biz. Lou Zwick hired me to do muscle meals.
We're on a lot of shows. I was on a series of like 8 shows, and you're on. You're on as the chef. I think you were cooking, and I'm on. And they honestly did such a phenomenal job of editing. Like I have one. Yeah, here you go.
Yep.
They're like, you know, they're like, how does this? I love it. They're like, shoot B-roll. No one did that at that time.
No,
they're shooting
no one
B-roll,
did
and they're like,
B-roll. Yeah.
how did Frank Seppi, this Long Island gym rat, come out of obscurity to come the top fitness model in the world? And then it's like me with every woman that I stop with, they're like, women were in droves, like trying to get in touch with them. Like, what is this? Like, you know, watching it, I'm like, wow.
And then they cut to Frank on like his bike.
Right into the wall.
Straight into the wall.
Into the wall. Right into the wall.
Yeah, I'm so successful I couldn't even pay for the fork. At 22 years old. Yeah,
You had to blame the German guy. You were so broke.
yeah, 22 years old. I'm like, what?
Dude, we got to redo, John, we got to redo this cover with a John Romano grill. Like, that's what that should do with your book cover. What are we waiting for? Like, right here, we get rid of this and we get rid of the whisk and we got the grill in your hand.
How about a pot just to boil water? It's just start with that.
The Romano pot boils better than the boils fast.
Boy, it boils faster than everybody else because you got to put hot water in it first. That's the trick.
Every Italian girl I dated, they were like, "Oh, that's my grandmother's pot. She gave it to me. I make my meatballs and this and that." I was like, "Oh, it's your grandmother's pot. Don't worry, I'll give it back." It's like funny. You should do something, John, with that. That'd be, I think, why not? Look at Chef Rush.
Yeah, well, Chef Rush owes his entire career to me. But I was first.
Okay.
I was first. I was the first guy. Everybody else that came out with cooking after that, it was after me. I was first. So, Carlo Filippone, Chef Rush, all of these guys that are making money cooking now got Muscle Meals was their first book. I'm telling you. So, yeah, it would be great to do something with that, but George Foreman has the grill, so what's left?
Well,
I have to think about it, but there's definitely something. I think honestly, I think
there.
with the way things are right now and just direct to consumer and everything else, you could definitely make money on
I could
something.
get one
I
of
would do
those
that.
Betty Crocker easy bake ovens and put one of a big powerful light bulb in it. We could grill meat in it. That's how.
Easy bodybuilder. Why don't you put your head on Robbie Robinson's body and put his muscle grill?
There's a thought. I wonder if that's been tried before.
If you were to put your head on what Flex Wheeler, everybody knows. So Zach, what
Yes.
So we have a lot of stuff going on, right? But what's going on with this Middle East extreme Spartan thing?
Yeah, so I got an invite from the Joe DeSena, the founder of Spartan and Death Race. It's an invite to Abu Dhabi to check out this. I think there's having a bunch of Spartan activities out there. Like there's like a 100-mile race. There is, I'm not sure if one of the World Championship OCR races is out there, but there's also a lot of media opportunities to meet with a lot of other folks and hopefully to get some support for some of the things we're doing. And it just so happens that I definitely have ideas like we've talked about here around that Project 7. And I'm actually trying to get Joe on the horn this week because, and I told him I'm not looking for financial support from them at all. They have their own set of sponsors, and their sponsors are pretty top-notch sponsors. So, but he's a guy that knows how to do it, and I think he would really be behind me trying to be somebody that goes through this and carries it out. So I'm curious to see what he has to say, but it could be a really big thing and, unlock some support out there. So I'm looking into it right now, but it really would be cool.
You're going to fry in that desert, bro.
I know, man. Oh God. It's like, I'm not built for heat or anything.
You got to be like a lizard, man.
We should get him on the show.
I'm going to talk to him. I'm going to talk to him this week. I've tried. He wanted to talk last week, but I was away, obviously. So I was doing stuff with my family, and I was working enough. As John and Frank will tell you, I was still sending stuff off, working more than I wanted to. But sometimes you have to. There's just times where you gotta buckle down. So that was that. And
I was lucky. I was in the Azores. I had no service. I had great excuse.
No, I also saw some videos. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, the dog was gnawing on Frank's phone. Give it.
Zach. So as you know, I got the huge shipment of Seppi Nutrition treats, and I put a little dash of something in there that made it quite interesting, delicious. Wait till I'm going to send you both guys a box. Amazing. But we just got into Dubai, the Emirates.
That's amazing.
Really?
Saudi Arabia, that whole deal over there. So yeah, so we're in the process of putting together a whole bunch of changing the boxes to Arabic and the labels and stuff to
Oh
ship
wow.
over there right now. But we just got into there too, yeah. So we're excited
Dude,
about that,
congratulations,
and I'll
man.
be
That's
all
Yeah,
over
man.
Vegas too.
Congrats on that. That's awesome. Now,
Yeah, wait till
do
you
you have
take.
limitations with that market? You can't use certain ingredients or stuff or
Yeah,
whatever.
every country's different, yeah. But
Yeah.
so some of them don't. Some of them don't match up. Some of them do, and the ones that do, you ship them whatever you got. But we just tweaked it a tiny bit. I loved it, but we just wanted to try this and it worked out. So we were like,
Cool.
because it was a big thing. So it's awesome. We just got the chocolate peanut butter one done too. So, but yeah, we're in Emirates in Vegas. We'll be all over 7-Elevens, all the C stores everywhere at the Olympia too. So
Cool.
and we'll probably in some other spots. But hopefully, Zach, when this goes off, the Spartan Extreme in Dubai, then I'll be there. Maybe I can fly in to see our
would be
distributors and
awesome.
stuff, and come down and
That would be
watch you
amazing.
fry like a desert
Thank you.
lizard,
Thank you. I appreciate that.
and
I've
start giving you pickle juice and
Yeah, pickle juice.
and green peppers and
Oh
and
man.
everything else to get your potassium
But
and
well, I got
minerals.
a question though, Frank. So when you say okay, you added something different, how long did that take? Like how many trial and error sessions did you go with for it to finally be like, this is the one? Because I feel like it's not just a one and done.
Uh, um, it's just ratios. It was ratios. It was changing ratios of certain ingredients. So it was three. It was three. So we had a new
Three. That's
co-packer. So
wow.
so it was three times. There was a new co-packer. So we wanted to make sure that, we were like, what if we did this? And they're like, don't mess with perfection. Like, no, let's just see what happens. And it was like, oh wow,
That's
wow.
awesome.
So I gave it to
Cool.
my dad this weekend. It's for my mom and dad. And my dad's like, think you got a winner here. And then my dad hates everything. I was like, oh wow, that's awesome. I was
That's a
like,
That's
okay,
big one,
great,
right?
man. That's awesome,
yeah.
dude.
So
Oh, I'm excited,
yeah,
man.
so there's a lot. Look, any business that you start, it's trial and error, and you gotta we shrunk the wrappers a little bit. We made new box. Like everything is, it's it's gonna evolve. Labels, logos, everything. So, but
Yeah.
Juan Morel has been really great. I've been training with him every weekend. So he's been helpful too because he's gone through it. You
Right.
know.
Yeah,
So, and I mean, I was marketing director for Metrics. $150 million worth of bars and stuff. But I know all that part. But there's certain aspects that that you could be better at, or no, you don't know,
Yeah,
or some
sure.
pitfalls and stuff. So, but it's good. But anyway, we'll be into. Hopefully, when this happens, we'll
that's awesome.
be able to come out there. Yeah,
I'm
should
excited,
be
man.
good.
I'm excited. I'm excited for I feel like at Olympia too. I feel like a lot of people are gonna that run into you are gonna make sure to let you know how they feel about it. Maybe they haven't yet, but when they see you, it's an easy in, but also, maybe seeing you might be the reminder, like, oh shit, you know what? I had your protein treat and I really dig it, dude. Like,
You know what? I don't ask anybody for anything. I
I know
don't.
you don't.
I don't. And yesterday, I was like, I don't know. I was waiting for my son. I was waiting for my son to come out, and I was on my phone, and I hit up a couple of people, immediate responses, and I got into six gyms sitting there, and then Jose called me, and he's like, "Hey, we got into 43 locations this week, today." And I was like, "Oh
Wow.
my god!" So I don't ask anybody. Michael Hearn just did a repost, just did a post for me for the
Wow.
for the protein treat.
That's
I
nice.
was laughing at Hearn, and there's a lot of people are starting. So now, as you know, John, now when you're at the starting gate and you have proof of concept, now is where the marketing comes in. So I'm doing a lot of collaborations with people. I
Cool.
have Mike Ruiz is shooting the commercial for me. I'm shooting
Wow.
30, 60, 90 uh social media ads,
Gonna blow up.
PR web, all kinds of product integration things. It's cool. So I'm going to sports facilities, having college athletes eat them, having, women at offices eating, we're shooting a whole big thing soon. So it's good. And then I
Well,
started this other, there's a lot of things going on, but,
It's awesome, dude.
um, yeah,
That's really
so we'll
cool.
see. We'll see.
well,
Look, it is what
I
it
got to
is.
tell you, before I left for Portugal, I was dipping some strawberries in chocolate, and I had a protein treat left over from the box I bought. I got to
Right?
tell you, Frankie, got to dip them in chocolate.
John,
I use
I'm
peanut
telling
butter.
you,
Yeah.
it's
I
nuts.
have it. Wait, is it in my car? I have a chocolate peanut butter. I have a s'mores. I
Wow.
have Belgium
Ooh.
chocolate,
Oh man.
But none of them
rainbow.
are dipped in
Um,
chocolate, right? Like, not have a chocolate coating, or yes.
the you're talking, yeah. Well, there's certain one. Well, you'll see.
Okay,
There's gonna
good,
be
good, good.
bite size.
Because
There's a whole look. There's a reason I'm living in my Jeep now. That's a fi- that's a financing everything.
Hey
uh,
Frank, Frank, you got a question here from Sharp Nutrition. He said, Frank, what advice would you give to a new supplement startup to be successful? I think it's a very good question to ask Frank because Frank's been going through it, and the trajectory right now is it has been for a long time going upward, and I think
yeah.
really good idea to pick your brain on it.
So, having the ability to sit down with every CEO and marketing director while selling advertising for the NPC and IFBB and working with advertisers and working with big companies and consulting, the one thing that I will tell you is forget about the glitz and the glam forget about the athletes and the t-shirts and buying this and looking this and build an infrastructure. Build the proper infrastructure. Use your money wisely. Get proof of concept because what you might think is great, many people might not think it is. So
right,
you
right,
have to
right,
before you spend seven figures, eight, whatever it is, make sure that your demographic that you're trying to hit likes the product because your friends and family are no indicators of what's going to work. And building a strong web, what's your strong web social media platform is crucial. And obviously, if you make a product, you have to know where's it going to go,
right.
because if you're going to sell it to direct to consumer on a website or social media, then you better have a complete digital plan. So for give you an idea, Amazon, everything that we sell on Amazon, 5% goes right back into marketing, and it goes right back to sell into marketing. So you have to have a marketing budget with that. So if you're going to sell and you go, oh, we're going to get this into stores, do you have distributors set up? Where are you warehousing this? Do you have a 3PL? Like you have to have a plan, and the most companies fail because they're not funded correctly, and they have too many SKUs, too many
Hmm.
products that they can't
Right,
advertise correctly. So if you have eight products, and let's say you have $500,000, that $500,000 will be gone in
gone.
marketing before you even turn around. So get the proof of concept, build an infrastructure, and go slow. Like, look, there's times where I'm like, people have offered me millions of dollars and like, oh, we just want it to just run with this and put all these flavors out and do this. But I'm trying to do it incrementally. I'm trying to do it smart.
Right,
I'm trying to do it the right way, like so that I built something for my son and Jose's built something for his kids and stuff. And like, we don't have to be Apple. You know, we
Right.
we can make a good living. We're not, or we will. Who knows? But
right.
proper thing is spend your money wisely. Do not hire friends and family. Do not hire marketing gurus. Do not hire these outside companies that work with all these big brands before you know what your mission statement is, who you're selling to it, where you're going to warehouse it, how you're going to sell it, and how are you different from everybody else, and why should I take your product? Like that's the number one question. Like, John, you just came out with this whey protein. Why? There's 700 whey proteins. Why should I have it? What's the mix? Where's your protein from? How is
Yeah.
this different from everybody else? Why is it so expensive? Like, you have to have all of these things. So know
That's
your
right.
product back and forth
Yeah.
as well.
That's
The,
that's
the
such a
other
really
the other
good
thing though
point.
too is with the supplement industry particularly is everybody that looks at the supplement industry, they think they see like Rich Gaspari or Metrex or something, and they think they're going to get in the supplement biz and then they're going to be rich too. And the problem with that is if you go, I remember this came to me really by accident. It really opened my eyes. I went on getbig.com at one, was it getbig? Bodybuilding.com.
Hmm.
Bodybuilding.com. And I looked up protein. There was 7 pages of protein of companies I never heard of,
Yeah.
right? and it's literally thousands. So why in the world would I get in that pool with all of those people swimming when I got nothing that they don't have, what that they don't have? It's like,
Right.
what's the new protein? Is protein. I don't care if it comes from a beet, a cabbage, a pig, a horse, doesn't matter. It's protein. Everybody has it and everybody uses it. For me to come into the marketplace with another protein powder, I had to be fucking stupid to do that. Okay, so what you got to do is what Frankie did is you got to find a niche. Okay, you got to find something that nobody else is doing, that you got something that's special that people want, that people like, that's not on the par with 7,000 supplement companies. You got something unique, different, and cool. That's the biggest thing, because what are you going to sell? I mean, what are you going to sell? I mean, I got protein powder here. Yeah, so does 7,000 other people. Why? Like you said, Frankie, why mine? Why?
I think that's called the paradox of choice, right? Where there's too many choices, and when too many choices comes anxiety, indecision, and then you get distracted, and then you don't do anything about it. So
to give you an idea, right now I'm building with a friend of mine a huge platform for training stuff. Every week I get like 20, 30. You do online training. My friend also has 800, 900,000 followers. So we're like, okay, we're going to put together an online training platform. Now there's tons of them, right? Okay.
Right.
Now he has his background. I have my background. We're going to get our people in there. But the reason we're building this, now the online training stuff is great, but we're building the community so that we can sell everything to them. So if we did a small run of plant protein or whey protein and put it together with their diet plan or this or that, and if you have 5,000 people who are registered under your, for your training business, now you're doing small runs of 5,000, it's almost like the infomercial thing when I do with Metrics 180. We were selling, we were putting together a diet plan with supplements and everything else. If you pair it with something, you have a better chance of making money than blindly going into a market where people are spending, a couple of $1 million a year to get good position in vitamin shop and stores, and they have social media of 10 million or 20 million like a C-bomb or this or that. So you have to build up these little programs and niches where you can now sell to your community. You're able to sell anything. Like at one point I think we had like 180,000 people on from Metrics 180. We sell them anything. So if you got 2% of that market, even if you build up the online training, so you're only making like 10,000 a month on the online training, but now you've built up this huge community, right? And let's say you have 100,000 people, but only 3% of them are buying products from you. That's on a monthly retainer.
Yeah.
Right? Like, and that's now you could utilize that money to sell it mass market or sell it into specific things. So it's also cool to pair it with something as well. So that if I give them some advice, I would say, you know what? Maybe think in terms of that. How are you going to sell it? Maybe that could be your thing. Whether it's college, college athletes, whatever the niche is, you got to find your niche.
Yep.
Dude, I think that's a solid spot to wrap it up. We've gone on for about an hour and 10 minutes, and I'm just realizing now that I don't think Muscle and Fitness or Flex Facebook was connected today. So we only did Muscle and Fitness Twitter and YouTube. So we'll fix that the next time. But
Cool.
Whatever. Twitter is where we get most people watching anyway at this point. So
Yeah, it's amazing that that's our platform.
it's weird.
It's funny. We're lapping I look at all the other people who are doing X, and we're far. And these are people who have a few million followers on Instagram, and we're bypassing them like 4 to 5 times.
Wow.
Yeah, it's nuts.
Cool.
But I'll fix that for the next time. So that's what I'll do. I'll have it'll give me something to feel a sense of purpose. But hey, Sharp Nutrition. I hope that helps, and hopefully some of those tips help you. And look, again, and if you're carrying different products, maybe you want to carry the right products, or the right types of products if you're partnering with other folks, aka Steppy Nutrition. Anyway, sorry, just my shameless plug for Frank. Yeah, I just really want Frank's. I really want this thing to go to the moon, man. I want it to be the big. And I said this to John when you weren't here. I really want this to be the biggest thing. I hope it works. If anybody deserves it, it's you and Jose and that team over there. And it would just be fantastic to see the good guys win one. So that would be awesome.
It's happening. It's happening right before our eyes.
I know, but it's like it's nice to see it, you know. But,
it is. It's wonderful.
Cool. All right, everybody.
I won't tell you if I made $1 or $1 million. I won't say anything.
No. How much did you make? No.
I'll be wearing the same pack of 3 T-shirts.
He's still gonna live in his Jeep, everybody. So don't you worry. But all right, till next time, everybody. Thanks for all the comments. Thanks, Mike Russo. You were the MVP today when it came to comments. Awesome.